God bless America. Hello, everybody. I am the Talk Radio Protege. This is the Protege program. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is going to be the second video in 24 hours that we're going to do talking about immigration because it's still in the news and we're still talking about this and this is somehow still a thing. So, over the weekend, and I think Friday, this was a big deal as well, and yesterday, of course, all that the headlines have been talking about have been the child separation issue. Of course, that would be the issue of children or minors being separated from adults as part of their detention by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And as this debate has worn on, it's taken an interesting track. And it goes back to a little bit before the current version of the debate on immigration. As you all likely remember, Nancy Pelosi said this talking about Trump's criticism of MS-13, his characterization of them as animals. Now, if you want to say that literally every person has the spark of divinity, has the dignity and worth of every person, and is deserving of their basic human rights, that's fine. That's an argument that I will gladly make. But that's not the argument that was being had at the time of this discussion. I'm at risk of rehashing a lot of this, but let me take a little bit of an aside to talk about this. So Trump said that in the context of talking about MS-13, that they, MS-13, were animals. And that's a generally accurate description of how this gang behaves. But the mainstream media and the Democrats and the left all took his comment out of context and interpreted it, incorrectly inferred from his comment that he was talking about all immigrants, legal and illegal, gang members and not gang members. There's actually a hilarious PolitiFact quote. You know, let's just go look at it real quick. Let's go look at it's PolitiFact Pelosi supports MS-13, I think will be the correct way to search for this. So PolitiFact rates this comment from Donald Trump, says Nancy Pelosi came out in favor of MS-13. They rated it as false. How did they rate it as false? I think it's interesting. I was watching one of the Louder with Crowder podcast a while back, and he said if you read the rationale behind how they judge these statements, some of them are hilarious. They will take the most disingenuous or least charitable interpretations of the statements, and that's how they will arrive at a false rating. And that's precisely what they did here. You scroll down, they talk about the remark, they talk about the context, and then they said Pelosi clearly chose the interpretation of Trump's words at the round table that was the least favorable to Trump, but that doesn't mean that she was embracing violent gang members. Now, what PolitiFact gets wrong is they say that Trump's comment is valid in its own context, I think, the animals comment. But Nancy's comment, where she takes Trump, where she leaves the context of the conversation that Trump was having and makes a totally different context, and that makes her comment legitimate. Now, if that sounds about as clear as mud to you, it's because it doesn't make any sense. You know, PolitiFact is basically saying, here's a conversation that's happening, and you can make a comment about the conversation that is out of the context of the conversation, and your comment is now valid. So Nancy Pelosi looks at Donald Trump, you might say castigating MS-13 members, and she looks at that and says, every human has a spark of divinity. And PolitiFact says she's not supporting MS-13 gang members. She's just making a comment about people in general, when she's very clearly talking about the current immigration conversation, which is revolving around MS-13 gang members. And they use that and say, see, Trump was wrong. So let's throw that page away. We won't be coming back to that. But Nancy Pelosi made this statement. She's invoking something spiritual here, something Christian. I'm not an expert in in all the religions of the world, but if I'm not mistaken, every person has a spark of divinity within them, and is therefore worthy of being afforded human rights and such things. If I'm not mistaken, that's a uniquely Christian principle. So Nancy is invoking these Christian principles. Then we shift gears a little bit. We're shifting the debate now, and we're talking about family separation. And it's reported by USA Today that the zero tolerance policy of the Department of Justice is being criticized by, quote, many Christian leaders. Okay, so Christians are now great people, right? Because they're criticizing the president. And what does Jeff Sessions do? He's addressing Christians, so he talks like a Christian, and he quotes some Bible scripture. There's more invoking of Christianity as part of the immigration debate. And what follows Jeff Sessions' quotation? Hillary Clinton decides she's going to invoke some Christianity. Her quote goes like this: "This is not happening because of the quote-unquote Democrats' law. As the White House has claimed," Clinton insisted, "separating families is not mandated by law at all. That is an outright lie, and it is incumbent on all of us, journalists and citizens alike, to call it just that." She wasn't done, nor are these policies rooted in religion. In fact, those who selectively use the Bible to justify this cruelty are ignoring a central tenet of Christianity. I went to a lot of years of Sunday school. I even taught it from time to time. I've studied the Bible, both the Old and New Testament, and what is being done using the name of religion is contrary to everything I was ever taught. Jesus said, "Suffer the little children unto me." He did not say, "Let the children suffer." If you're laughing, I am too. That is the most asinine and what's the word? What's the word that I'm thinking of here? It means totally oblivious of what you're talking about entirely. Hillary Clinton clearly has no idea what was being said when she quotes Jesus' words when he says, suffer the little children to come unto me. She even got the quote wrong. But anyhow, this has got me thinking. We could talk about whether or not these people are right in invoking spirituality and Christianity as they're discussing the immigration debate. We could talk about that. We might talk about that a little bit in this video. But I want to ask the question, why are the Democrats invoking God? Why are the Democrats invoking Christianity? Why are they invoking the Bible as if it is or should be one of the country's governing documents? Why are they doing this? Why is the party of separation of church and state doing this? Why is the party that has driven God and Christianity out of every government institution they can get their hands on, from the courtroom all the way down to primary school? Why is this political party suddenly so caught up in Christianity? And it's not Jeff Sessions' fault. It's not his fault for invoking Christianity. No, it's not even the Christians who think they've got a leg to stand on. And they might. I think they would have a credible argument to say that it's not Christian to turn people away that need our help. No, I don't think that's an illegitimate argument at all. But it's not their fault either that the Democrats are invoking God and Christianity. No. Why is this being invoked? Why is something that they clearly don't believe in being invoked? And you don't just have to look at where the Democrats have driven God and religion out of government institutions. You can look at their individual policy statements, like abortion. You know, the Democrats seem to be all in with Christians on criticizing Trump over this immigration issue. But on the other side of the coin, the vast majority, I think, I haven't taken a poll and I haven't seen a poll, but I'm pretty sure that the vast majority of Christians are vehemently against abortion like the left wants it to be. And Nancy Pelosi clearly doesn't believe that Christianity should be used to attack abortion. Nancy Pelosi clearly thinks that abortion is a more important issue than Christianity. You can see it in this interview where Nancy Pelosi rebukes a reporter over unborn baby question. She apparently is so smitten, you might say. She's so devout a Christian that she'll defend MS-13 gang members with her faith as justification, but she can't seem to think of a place where the Bible might say that unborn babies are just as valuable as born humans. A reporter for CNS News asked Pelosi, is an unborn baby with a human heart and a human liver a human being? And Pelosi responded, I am a devout practicing Catholic, a mother of 5 children. When my baby was born, my 5th child, my oldest child was 6 years old. She said, I think I know more about this subject than you, with all due respect. Of course, I'm adding the inflections there. So it's not a human being, the reporter pressed, and I do not intend to respond to your questions, which have no basis in what public policies that we do here. So Pelosi thinks that Christianity should be divorced from public policy, unless it's immigration, clearly. Anyway, when was this actually? This was back in 2015. Interesting change of tone that's come over Nancy Pelosi. You can also see Nancy Pelosi's policy statements on abortion in her voting record. She voted no on banning federal health coverage that includes abortion. She voted yes on expanding research to more embryonic stem cell lines. Now, that might not seem like a related issue, but it is, because an increased demand in embryonic stem cells is an increased demand for dead fetuses, which is an increased demand for abortion. She voted yes on allowing human embryonic stem cell research. She voted no on restricting interstate transportations of minors to get abortions. She voted no on making it a crime to harm a fetus during another crime. She voted no on banning partial birth abortion. The list goes on and on and on. So Nancy Pelosi is clearly invoking, hypocritically, Christianity. But what about Hillary Clinton? Does she at least believe what she is saying? Now, her position on abortion, according to On the Issues, is much, much different. Her rhetoric is very... You could call it wishy-washy. It might not be generous to call it wishy-washy. It would be more generous to call it balanced or moderate. It would be a cynical take to say that it's wishy-washy. Let me see if we can make it to her voting record. Let's see if she's got anything here. Voted no on banning partial birth abortions. Endorsed recommended by Emily's List of pro-choice women, rated 100% by NARAL, indicating a pro-choice voting record, expanded embryonic stem cell research, sponsored a bill providing contraceptions for low-income women, sponsored a bill for emergency contraception for rape victims, rated 0% by NRLC, indicating a pro-choice stance, provide emergency contraception at military facilities, opposes additional border infrastructure, supports public funding for abortion services, opposes parental notification for abortions by minors. Very less pro-life than her rhetoric would seem to be. And why is it? Why would it be that these Democrats are invoking Christianity when it comes to criticizing why are they invoking something that they don't believe in when it comes to this particular debate, immigration? I think it's simple. It boils down to 7 words. It's a classic rules for thee, but not for me scenario. The reason that Democrats invoke Christianity when they don't believe in it during these debates is because many conservatives and Republicans do believe in Christianity. Many conservatives and Republicans would love for the Bible to be a guiding document for creating policy. I know that I certainly wouldn't mind if we would fashion some of our policy directives around biblical principles. For example, I would like it if we would use the Bible to guide if we would at least partially use the Bible to guide our understanding on family, on abortion, on what fathers should be held responsible to do, on what mothers should be held responsible to do. Wouldn't it be great if fathers were required as part of their child support to not just pay some money, but also pay their children some attention, to be a guiding role model for their children so that they can grow up to be great upstanding citizens, so that they can be afforded all of the benefits that having a father around affords to children. By the way, if you don't know what some of those are, I published a video, was it last Friday? I think it was last Friday, that was all about Father's Day and all about what fathers do for their children. This is why Democrats invoke these things. They think by invoking our rules, to put it tribally, they think by invoking the rules of the opposing tribe that they can cow the opposing tribe into doing what they want. They point to your rule book and say, look, you're not following your rules. You're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to be successful in this way because you're breaking your own rules. And then they turn right around and break the rules of their own rule book. What do people like Nancy Pelosi and Dianne Feinstein and other very, very wealthy political activists do? They go around and they talk about how evil it is to be a capitalist. They talk about how evil it is to be wealthy, how evil it is to be successful. At the same time, they strive for success to the greatest of their ability. If leftists lived by their rule book, they wouldn't run a pile of sand on the beach. They wouldn't be able to do it. They would be unsuccessful. They would be poor. They would be leeches on society. They refuse to live by their own rule book, and yet they demand that everyone else live by the rules that they have established for themselves. Not that they would live by the rules the Democrats have set up, but that they would live by the rules that they want you to live by your rules, because your rules restrict you. Your rules say means that you believe in freedom of speech, so you should let other people speak and run roughshod over you because you believe in freedom of speech. You believe in this kind of thing. You should allow these immigrants in, and you should be compassionate on them because you read the Bible and you believe that the Bible is a good thing, and so you should believe that we shouldn't refuse these immigrants because they're coming and they're asking for things. They're downtrodden and poor and they need our help, and they believe that you should use the Bible to guide your policy prescriptions when it comes to border security. Of course, you shouldn't do those things when it comes to their pet issues like abortion. You should not refer to the Bible when it comes to abortion. You should absolutely not refer to the Bible when it comes to sexual lifestyles, when it comes to what the family should look like, when it comes to what our culture should look like. You should absolutely not refer to the Bible on those things. No, you should refer to our rule book on those things, because your rule book is whatever it may be, racist, sexist, bigoted, homophobic, backwards, hickish, whatever, what insert buzzword here. rules for thee, but not for me. They will not live by their own rule book. Some people have had enough of the left getting away with not living by the rule book and are trying to hold their feet to the fire. It's an interesting conundrum, because on the one hand, we want to live by our principles, and our principles would allow these people to do these things because of, whatever freedom that we believe in. But at the same time, we think that there ought to be consequences. That someone ought to be able to point to Democrats and say, look at how hypocritical the people that call themselves your betters are. And we would like to have people take note of that. It doesn't happen very often, but maybe someday it will. And that's what I'm here for, is to keep pointing out the hypocrisy. That's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. Leave a like if you did. Hit subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so that you don't miss a single video. Make sure that you check back tomorrow for a new report. Until then, good night and God bless.